you can only perceive that which you are the vibration of. So if you're watching this video, then you can take it as a sign for either one of two things. Either one, you're on your highest timeline right now. I know that's the one you'd want to believe is what is actually happening. It's just a synchronicity. This is a sign I'm on the right timeline. Now, two, you can take this video as a sign that there are certain things you can do to activate your highest timeline, to literally shift your life so that in 5 years from now, because you've watched this video, you are on a different trajectory than if you were to have not watched the video. Now, either one of what those are for you, whichever one you identify more with, you have to be honest with yourself. Do you feel like right now you are on your highest timeline? Now in this video, I'm going to show you what to actually do, what is necessary to let go of so that you activate your highest timeline. In 5 years from now, you're in a very different energy than where you are right now. Now, first off, understand that when it comes to this concept, it has to do with understanding what quantum physics is beginning to understand more and more of, and that is a truth about reality. That everything exists here and now. That what we think of as movement is the different, what we think of as time is the movement through these different, what we could call parallel realities. I've made other videos on this, on understanding how we can shift more readily. This is pretty much what I used in order to create the life that I live in now, where I went from a 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes to being a YouTuber. There was a specific moment I had that I used 3 different words that changed everything. This 3-word phrase I began to repeat to myself over and over again, and I began to choose a higher vibrational timeline. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, is exactly how you can do the same exact thing. But first off, understand that when it comes to shifting through different parallel realities, you don't have to try to do this. You already do it, whether you're aware of it or not. Now, your stories about who you are what keep you in familiar energy. Even the word familiar actually has the same word of almost family, familial. So we tend to attract ourselves into similar reality streams that are in alignment with the energy we are emitting, and that energy, many times, unless we're aware of it, is unconscious and it is familiar childhood dynamics. Now, when you have to wake up to this though, and sometimes the wake up can require you to be very honest with yourself. There are times I've found myself in patterns, and I can see, wait, this pattern I'm in, this manager at this job I have is the same energy of the stepmom that I had from 7 to 15 years old. And one interesting thing I realized recently is that even though I've gotten rid of all the people that I attracted in my life that were like a reflection of my ex-stepmom, up until like I became aware of the energy and released it, I realized that in some similar ways, that control from my ex-stepmom growing up of not being able to have friends and having to like, not even able to have enough food, having to earn to go to school activities, 7 to 15, like that age of feeling trapped. After I got out at 15, when my dad divorced my ex-stepmom and I had all this freedom, that felt like anxiety. So what I did is I created a sense of control where I'd either attract people into my life that would try to control me, not like it, but that felt familiar, or I would control myself. And I've realized this recently. The way I treat myself is very similar to the way that I was treated growing up. It's like I punish myself, or I get very strict with how I control things, whether it's like my diet, for example, where I meticulously count calories and I'm doing all of these things, and I'm really aware that it's partially like I'm doing it to myself, but yet there's something about it that feels safe and familiar. Now, when I woke up in 2012 and I realized that my ex-stepmom is out of my life, but my manager is pretty much the same energy, that's when I learned the power of meditation, and I forgave my ex-stepmom. And when I forgave her, that manager got fired within a week. It was crazy. I know I've shared that before on the YouTube channel. But nonetheless, your timeline is tethered to the familiar. Think about that. Familiar. Whatever is familiar to you, that is not the enemy here, but that's the thing that you want to become aware of. If you want to activate your highest timeline, you need to be willing to get out of the familiar. When I shifted my life in 2017 from having that 9-to-5 job, it was very familiar to have a 9-to-5 job. And I had to be honest with myself too. Here's another thing I had to realize. As much as I did not like having a boss, I had a boss that was telling me what to do, and there were times that it was so similar to the story I had from childhood, that life's not fair, people talk down to me. I had this thing with authority where I didn't like having authority tell me what to do, but somehow it must have felt comfortable. And the choices you are making, that activating your highest timeline is about the choices you're making. And when I was at one point getting the reflection of getting in trouble for something really stupid, where I got brought up to the office, as for saying this word belly button, as stupid as this sounds, where we would say, I started this thing in the women's shoe department working at Barney's, New York, where in the middle of belly button sentences I would say, I would like drop the word belly button like I just did. And if you're not ready for it or you don't know about it, it's kind of like the mind just doesn't hear it. And it was just fun to do because I'm in this women's shoe department helping customers that are buying $1,000 pair of shoes. So to do that would like loosen up the vibe. It was kind of fun. I had customers that we'd do it with too, that we told about it and they were doing it too. It was just fun. It was stupid, but it was fun. But nonetheless, this one guy that I worked with, he was like this pastor guy that was like super wholesome, and like that's how he at least like his image was. So no one thought he would do this. But basically, what he did is he changed someone's email address so that at the bottom of the signature of their email, when they were emailing customers, it said the word belly button. And it was the person in the shoe department that was the most challenging to work with. She's also a top salesperson, but she was extremely challenging personality. And basically what happened is she emailed the store manager, and the store manager called her up and said, hey, why does it say belly button in your email? And she goes, oh my God, that was Aaron, it's blah, blah, blah. They all thought it was me because I started that thing, and I had everyone in the department doing it. But then what happened is we all got pulled up to the office, and we got told that if you ever say the word belly button again, you're getting fired. And we were talked down to, and then individually it was like this write-up thing. It was just so silly, but also talked down to so much. And I didn't out the guy that actually did it. I just let everyone think that I did it. But I didn't want to be a rat or whatever, but identity. But basically what happened is got talked down to, and in that moment of getting talked down to and feeling that energy, I made a choice that in like 6 months from now, I'm not going to be in a 9-to-5 job. I didn't like having a boss. But in order for me to not have a boss, what I realized I had to do is I had to become my own boss. No one's going to motivate me to go after my passion. No one's going to motivate me to activate my highest timeline. So what I did is I decided that every single day on YouTube, I'm going to make a video until I'm a YouTuber, even though I didn't have it figured out, even though I didn't know how to edit, none of that. Within months of doing this, it completely changed my identity, and it changed my sense of work ethic. And I had to literally become a different version of myself by getting out of the familiar. The old familiar version of me really cared what people thought of me, really didn't want people to judge me, really was worried about what friends and family would think, felt not good enough, felt like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome will keep you in the familiar timeline. And all imposter syndrome is the familiar self that's saying, that's not me over there. But you must break out of the familiar to then get into a new reality to activate a new timeline. I did that in 2017. My whole entire life's changed. Pretty much anybody I've seen create success had to get out of the familiar. To activate the highest timeline, there's a couple different ingredients. You ready for those ingredients? First ingredient is it must be connected to something you are passionate about. Something that many times also adds value to other people. Your highest timeline will feel empty if it's just about money. If it's just about results and outcome. If it's about something that lights you up to do it, it won't feel like work. You will enjoy it. Your highest timeline has an element, has an ingredient of it. Imagine you're like making a cake, and this cake is your highest timeline. One of the ingredients to that cake is, are you doing what you are passionate about? And does that thing you're passionate about add value to other people by you doing it? Now this gets a little bit abstract because adding value, by you being the real you, that adds value. It's attractive. Other people are magnetized to you. And when you're in that vibrational state, new opportunities, new people come into your life. I've realized it, and a lot of times people are like, well, I want to attract love in my ideal reality. Well, are you doing what you love? Because you attract people into your life as a reflection of you doing what you love. If you want to attract someone in their life that's being the most authentic version of themselves, you must be the most authentic version of yourself. Are you doing and embodying what you are passionate about? When I started doing what I love on YouTube, I then would only date women that, or have girlfriends that were doing what they love. They were more authentic in their expression rather than working a 9-to-5 job they hate. When I worked a 9-to-5 job that I hated, I dated women that also worked a 9-to-5 job they hate. Why? Resonance. Resonance, vibrational resonance. You attract what you are. So, activating your highest timeline. One ingredient is, are you doing what you are passionate about? Are you in the passion frequency? Are you following your excitement? Huge part of it. Are you focused on also adding value out into the world? Adding value feels very fulfilling, and also the universe, God, source energy, whatever name you want to give this larger stream of energy, it wants to flow through you the more you have this intention of adding value to the whole. Why? Because we're all connected. We're all one consciousness. And when it's not just me, it has this energy that is very expansive. Now there's this other ingredient of making the choice. Now realize this, everything in our life is based upon the meaning we give things. Our beliefs create our reality. So if you want to activate your highest timeline, you have to take the power back from where you've been giving it away, and you have to give things new meaning. You choose what things mean in your life. I was watching this documentary, it was not a documentary, it was on Netflix, and one of my favorite coaches, his name's Doc Rivers. Growing up as a Boston Celtics fan, my dad's a Boston Celtics fan. He said, my name was almost Larry Bird. Ironic, thank God it's not. It's gonna be Larry Bird Dowdy. Thank God it wasn't. But as a Boston Celtics fan growing up, Doc Rivers, I was watching him talk, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, led the Celtics to championships and all of this stuff. He had this video where he was talking about his childhood and growing up, and one thing that his mom always wired in with him is that you will not be a victim. Do not be a victim. You pick yourself back up. If you let yourself be a victim, and you believe you are a victim, you will experience, as a reflection of your belief system, more and more things of being a victim. I found that to be true in my own life too. Because of my childhood, because of feeling like a victim, of not having freedom, of being talked to and treated a certain way, it's almost like I attracted, because subconsciously I believe this, I attracted situations in my life where it replayed that same energy over and over again. Now, when Doc Rivers was also talking about this, what I found interesting is there was a situation that happened where this NBA owner named Donald Sterling said very racist remarks about black people. And when he did this tape was leaked, and it was all over the news, all over the media, and he had a choice to make in that moment about him and his team, because he went from Boston to the Clippers, and that guy was the owner of the Clippers. And he had to choose what that means, and he was with all the other basketball players, sitting around. He could tell none of them wanted to play basketball. They felt very, having an owner that views them like that, I'm sure that it brought up so much stuff to where it's like they don't even want to play basketball. But the way Doc Rivers brought them together is he said, we will not be victims. If we become victims, then he has won. We will not be victims to this. We will do what we do so that the attention stays on him, because whatever we do now in the media will put the attention on us and what we're saying instead of on him. And what he ended up doing is getting them bought in to that, but he also talked to them like a human, which I found very interesting as well. He didn't talk down to them, this is what we're gonna do. He collaborated with them. He's like, we'll do whatever you guys wanna do, but and he talked about his childhood and all the stuff that he went through. Houses being burnt down. One of his houses got burnt down because of his race. But even then, he chose, I will not be a victim. And the reason I'm sharing that now is because if we have subconsciously some form of victim mentality, that will keep us tethered to the past familiar dynamics. Remember, we get in life as a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. And if we believe we are victims, we will continue to be victims. We will recreate that over and over again. Now, your highest timeline is activated the moment you make a new choice about who you are. Remember these ABCs. You ready? This is the 3 words that I used throughout creating and activating my highest timeline that changed everything. Always be choosing. Always be choosing. Create everything in your life and experience everything in your life as if you chose it. And then realize that if you chose it, you can then choose something new. You can then choose a different perspective. You can choose to give something a new meaning. And as you make new choices, you shift yourself to a new timeline. And as you make new choices as well from a level of passion and excitement. And as you make choices to say no to things that are familiar and maybe bringing you down. Really, activating your highest timeline is about following your passion, knowing there's not just one timeline. There's not just one highest timeline that you must get. It is a fluctuating journey of you choosing in this moment now, what are you excited about, who are you, and how do you choose to exist in this world? And when you take back your power from the victim, from realizing your past did not happen to you, it happened for you, that will help shift you out of the old timeline. The past did not happen to you, it happened for you. Something you'll hear Tony Robbins and other speakers talk about a lot. And in my life, I felt like a lot of times my childhood happened to me. When I changed that meaning and realized it led to my spiritual awakening, it led to me becoming more of who I am. Maybe one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping people break out of their belief systems is because I felt trapped from 7 to 15 years old. And I felt safe and familiar in being talked to a certain way and be treated a certain way that I kept creating it after I got out of that situation. And I want to help other people become aware of the science to break out of the box. I have something where I help people go full-time doing what they love. Why? I help people breaking out of the box of a 9-to-5 job if they don't enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 job, but if you don't enjoy it, then there's something else you could be doing, and that's not your highest timeline if you don't enjoy it. Follow your highest timeline by always be choosing, making new choices about who you are, and understanding that as you follow your passion, you have this intention of adding value, it changes everything. Now, something I'm going to be doing soon is the beginning of 2024, we're going to do an Activate Your Highest Timeline 21-day challenge. I'm going to be teaching parallel reality concepts I've not really shared that much before, concepts that come from a book, Reality Transurfing. I'm going to be sharing something decreasing importance, making it natural for you, new identity, how to literally choose that reality from what is called the space of variations. Many different levels to this we're going to be talking about in different forms of how to shift to your dream reality, and we're going to use the power of group intention and group energy to do it together. So if you want to activate your highest timeline, I'm going to have either the page below or like a sign up waitlist thing if you want to check it out. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want the meditation for shifting to a parallel reality too, read the comments, see what's possible. Do this meditation for 21 days and watch what happens.